I have some glare going on here. Okay. Good evening, and I'm so very excited. We are here with Preschool Chat. I am Florence Malone, the Outreach and Enrollment Manager for Cincinnati Preschool Promise. I have some exciting guests with us this evening. I'm excited for them to tell you guys all about what it is they do, how it is they do it, and why they partner with Cincinnati Preschool Promise. So I hope you guys are as excited as I am as we celebrate, I'm so excited. Cincinnati Preschool Promise Week. Give it up. Yay! And so I'm going to give everybody a chance to introduce themselves. Julie, let's start with you. Tell us about you and your organization and what it is you do.
Hi, I'm Julie Eugenio Montgomery. I am the Executive Director of Linton Chamber Music. Linton Chamber Music has been around for over 45 years or so. Let me start with the definition of chamber music. Chamber music is classical music that is meant to be performed by small ensembles in small spaces. But bottom line, I like to say that we bring people close to the music. Linton believes in the power of music and its ability to improve the lives of children. And I'm going to just share with you a quick little video. Tony, do you want to let me drive here for a second? One second here while I get myself organized. Apologies for the technical. All right. Start from the beginning. There we go. And the next slide. Here we go. Churches.
And I'm sorry, Julie, I just want to intervene real second because the photos, oh my God, they're fabulous, but we can't hear the sound.
Oh, well, that's not good. I have my volume turned up. Let me see. Let's see if I can. I'm going to play it and you let me know if you can't It's all the way up. Hold on. Ah,
And so we're still not hearing it. So maybe you kind of just want to talk us through a little bit.
I am gonna have to talk you through it.
Yeah.
Trying this out. So we do concerts all over Greater Cincinnati. Actually, right now, what you're seeing is our Musical Journeys program, which is the program that we do for Cincinnati Preschool Promise. But bottom line is we do children's concerts. We do 60 of them all over the region, and we're in actually 27 different neighborhoods. These concerts are designed specifically for preschool learning, and so we tailor them to the early childhood level, if you will. So kids are learning through movement at this point in their lives, and that's why you saw all the children that are moving around, moving to the music, and we have we have a early childhood music specialist who engages the children and gives them activities to listen to while they're listening to the music, and we hire professional musicians. So these kids are being exposed to classical music at a very early age. But beyond that, music has the ability to strengthen the connection between the brain and the body. And that's why you see the benefits of music, especially at this age. Children have been shown to have strengthened their verbal abilities, and of course, social and emotional capabilities as well when they're exposed to music at an early age. If you want to go on to the next. So this is a quote from Denny Palmer-Wolf. She's a leading education researcher and evaluator. She says, live music and the human interaction that accompanies this is one of the most intense, multisensory, and physically involving activities in which young children and their caregivers can engage together. Making music, especially if it includes tapping, clapping, bouncing, and dancing, and that's the kind of thing we do at our peanut butter and jam sessions, that can develop fine and large motor skills, and even simple games such as singing back and forth. Again, it all helps to strengthen the brain and the body coordination. So, you know, this is why we believe in what we do so much. We've been doing this now for close to 30 years, and we're now impacting a second generation of children throughout Greater Cincinnati. So this season, we typically do actually 4 different programs every year, and right now we're in the middle of our fall season. We're doing magical music. And for this program, our education director, Elizabeth Hickerson, who we saw a photo of there, she is actually teaching the children some magic tricks, and they're learning about music all in the meantime.
Okay.
And this particular program features the flute, the cello, and the piano. Then in the winter, we are featuring our program, we call it It's a String Thing, and it features the string family of instruments. So the violin, the viola, and the cello. And then in the spring, we always team up with Madcap Music, and we present a classic fairy tale to music. So there's no words, it's all puppets and music, and it's a wonderful, fun time. And then we also do summer programming.
And so I had the pleasure of attending this year.
We are in libraries, in churches, in community centers, all throughout the community. And you can visit our website there, peanutbutterandjam.org, or like us on Facebook at PB&J Sessions, and you'll find out all about our programming there as well.
Yeah, so Julie, I had the pleasure of...
So if does anyone have any questions about what we do, or Flo, do you have any questions for me?
I'm sorry, can you not hear me? Okay, you can't hear me. So I have a lot of questions.
I can't hear you, Flo.
you can't hear me. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, Shara says she can hear me. So I don't know, Julia.
I still can't hear Flo. Hold on, let me. So now why can I not hear Flo? Hold on, let me. Maybe I need to leave. Nope.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I'm sorry, I don't know why I can't hear Flo. So many technical difficulties here.
Yeah, and so that's okay. Look, can she see my thumbs up? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just shoot it over to Rachel because I want to hear about her program as well. I do have some questions and I'll come back. But Rachel, why don't you tell us a
Sorry,
little bit
I
about.
can't hear a thing. I don't know what's going on.
So Rachel, why don't you go ahead and tell us about the American Legacy Theater?
Sounds good.
Rachel, can you hear me? Because I'm all excited to hear.
And
Nobody can hear me?
I can hear you, Flo, and Rochelle is on mute. I can see the red mute.
There we go. You can hear me now?
There you go.
There we are. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Flo. I was hearing you and I was talking, but you couldn't hear me. So
That's okay. You know what? Sometimes, hey, that's how it goes.
we're just gonna roll with it, right? It's a Monday.
So let's chat about your program.
Thank you. My name is Rochelle Kaplan, and I am the Artistic Program Coordinator for American Legacy Theater. And so we are a theater company in Cincinnati, Ohio, but we do things in an unconventional way. So our mission at ALT, we generate inviting, imagined theatrical experiences for all people to have a voice in enriching society. Our vision, ALT aspires for a day when every American has access to the empathy-building art form of theater and has a respected voice in the room where it happens. So we present theater arts and theater arts education and opportunities in unconventional ways. And one of those ways is to plug into classrooms and community centers and different networks all around the city, all around Hamilton County. And so some of the pictures that you're looking at here, this one to the left is our work in partnership with the Down Syndrome Association of Greater Cincinnati. That's a performance they did last year that was fantastic. And then this one to your right is our partnership with Preschool Promise and the YMCA. And this was this summer. This was great work that I did with fantastic kiddos in partnership with Preschool Promise. So one of the things that ALT does, let me see, it's not letting me flip slides. There we go. We have 4 pillars of programming, and we like to work in different areas. We work in classrooms, like I mentioned already. We work in community, so that's not restricted just to youth. That might be other, it might be adults, it might be other community outreach, doing performances in neighborhoods, working with individuals, whether it's organizations or individuals on their own who want outreach and connection in their community via performance. We also do workplace professional development for individuals who want to branch out, build empathy, build ways of communication, understanding in the workplace. You're seeing a photo of that right in the lower left. And we also do work in homes. This was especially strong during the pandemic when we were all separated, for ways for people to feel not only connected, but be able to have voice and a creative outlet. And you're seeing that in the upper right here. So we like to say ALT creates a more equitable tomorrow through accessible theater. So one of our goals is to make theater accessible, to make it accessible for the participants, to make theater education accessible for youth, for adults, to kind of take it away from maybe the idea that it's only for certain groups of people to experience live performing arts. One of the unconventional, interesting, reimagined ways that ALT did outreach was this picture that you're seeing on the lower right, and that is Transit Theater, and that was a theater that happened on the streetcar. It was unannounced, so all these people that you're seeing witnessing this dance performance had no idea that that was going to happen. They were just taking a ride, trying to get somewhere, and then all of a sudden they're witnessing performing arts. So these are just some of the examples. You see me in the upper left, and that's working with those same kiddos that you saw before, doing from start to finish their own original production. And these are preschoolers. They were ages 4 through 6, and we together wrote, they directed, they invited people to come into their class to watch them perform an adaptation of their favorite classroom story. And we worked to turn that into a play. And it was fantastic working with them for 10 weeks because we watched them want to turn everything into a play and start acting everything out. So it's just an example of some of the magic that can happen. And I want to take a minute and talk about our partnership with Cincinnati Preschool Promise. One of the ways
so let's
that we're doing,
hold off on that because I have some questions.
Oh, please, yeah.
Yeah, so the great thing about preschool chat is that it's actually just that. It's a chat. And so we want to have some open conversation.
Right.
I have some questions prepared, all type of things. And I just want to ask both of you guys about your partnership with Cincinnati Preschool Promise. And since you're up on stage, we'll start with you. Why don't you tell me why a family, or why you think a family or a parent would be interested in this particular program? And so just to give you guys the feel of how we're going to do this, we're going to kind of bounce back and forth. So I'm going to go to you, and then I'm going to go to Jewel, because we want to, just kind of engage each other and everything. And maybe some of the staff members might want to chime in. But let's talk about what makes parents interested in this particular program. Why?
Yeah, thank you. So the work that we do, we try and find new ways to make connections for not only young kids, but all the way through high school into adults. And so we're trying to bring some of the really amazing development that can happen, the inner self-development that can happen through theater arts, through understanding your character. You start understanding yourself, you start understanding people around you, you start developing this kind of deeper worldview. And by participating in something that is collaborative and fun and creative, you're also building these new connections and these new ways to see the world around you. And we just watch how holistically that helps students, that helps individuals, that helps families start being able to make new points of understanding, right? So our main goal is empathy building, communication, understanding, collaboration, and we believe that that's inherent in developing.
So it sounds like to me, we're helping our younger people get in tune with themselves at an early age.
Perfect. Yeah, I love that. I totally agree. And there's all these ways that we do it, right? Julie talking about music. I mean, my partner's a musician, I work in theater arts, and there's all these ways that the creative arts, we know that is motivating, it's inspiring, and it helps people to develop a connection with their inner narrative, who they are, develop their identity as they're learning, they're making new brain connections. And it's also this amazing way that people can connect with their community, they can connect with their families, they connect in their schools. And
I can see being a parent, I can see why that would make me, as a parent, want to work with your program. So Julie, why don't you tell me why you think parents or families would choose to want to work with your program?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I'll start off with one of my personal observations. Every time I go to one of our concerts, our peanut butter and jam sessions concerts, there's we always start off with a book, which is kind of settles everyone down, and it always is music related as well. But as I mentioned, or I hope everyone heard, that we work with professional musicians. And when the musicians start the music, there is this moment of true magic that happens, and the children become transfixed and enchanted by the sound of live music. And it gets me every time. And it's amazing. At this age, they are sponges. And you would just, I'm always amazed when parents come away and say to me, oh, you know, after that concert, my kid heard this music on the radio and they recognized that that was a violin, or that that was a trombone or a tuba. They are sponges. And one of the things that is wonderful about the arts is that every child learns in different ways. And music is just another avenue for that. I mean, when they're singing songs and clapping to a beat, they're recognizing patterns, and patterns leads to, you know, that's where strong verbal communication, that's where it strengthens that connection. It also, the children also start to listen to patterns and understand patterns, and that has that leads into mathematical skills. So at our concerts, kids don't even realize that they're learning. They're learning through play, and it's just fun. And that's the other thing, is like exposing children to classical music at such a young age. At that age, it's just great music. It doesn't.
Yeah, and I definitely think I could see as well why a parent would choose to choose their program. You know, it's just great to be able to expose your children to different things at an early age, because when we start to expose our children at an early age, then they learn to develop appreciation.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
those things. So yeah, definitely. So Julie, why don't you tell me a little bit about why you guys decided to partner with CPP?
Oh my goodness. We had for years have been trying to find a way to bring our program into schools. And it's not easy to connect with preschools. I mean, providers have so much going on, and, you know, taking a cold call from us and saying, hey, we would love to do something for you. It's not easy. And so partnering with CPP and winning that inaugural pitch night was just sort of this, we were so elated because finally we would have a real partner. I think, and Rachel, you probably agree with this, that like so much of the work that we do, we want to connect with the community. So, but finding the right partners is half the battle. And through CPP, we have an incredible partner. So through that, we were able to develop our Musical Journeys program, which provides weekly early childhood music instruction in the classroom once a week to a select amount of CPP providers. And so, and we've also been able to get measured impact, and to help us demonstrate, you know, the impact of the power of music, especially at this early of an age.
So, Julie, would you say that one of the reasons why you decided to work with CPP was due to the connection that CPP had with the community and the other providers?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You were like you were our calling card, you know, and when you've got a partner like CPP that says, hey, you need to check out this program, that means a lot. And I can't thank you guys enough, because not only have we been able to expand the program, but we've been able to expand the program in such a meaningful way where we're in schools that we would not be able to afford to be in. And we're also providing, look, a lot of, there are preschools that offer music education, but it is generally offered at such an expense that it's unaffordable and unattainable. So partnering with CPP has helped us to provide this service to the community.
Yeah, and so I just want to say on behalf of CPP, it's been our pleasure to work with you guys as well. Last year, I had the opportunity to attend the end of the year concert. They did Red Riding Hood, Little Red Riding Hood, and it was just awesome to see, you know, how many parents as they came out and how the children expressed themselves and everything. I almost got up on stage and start performing myself, and then I had to remember that I didn't work with you guys. So yeah, you know, that's what CPP is about, making sure that children have access to everything with regards to strengthening their educational journey. So we thank you. And
Thank
Rachel,
you.
I want to hear from you as well. Tell me about your relationship with CPP and why you guys decided to want to work with CPP.
Yeah, thanks, Flo. You know, I'll echo a little bit of what's been said, but the real thing that is front of mind for me is, you just mentioned it, is access. Making theater arts, making the kind of development that can happen by working in any creative pursuit accessible for all kids, for all youth, that's a part of our mission, right? That's our major goal. And by partnering with Preschool Promise, we immediately got access to the community where you work, to where kids live, to the families, to their lived experience, right? And one of our goals is to give youth an opportunity to have voice, to hold space, to express themselves in their true, whole, authentic, beautiful beings, and be able to make that connection with their community as who they are, feel represented, feel heard, feel seen. And by working with Preschool Promise, we were able to do all that. We had all the support in place because our missions were so aligned, right? And Preschool Promise is so ingrained in the Cincinnati community. It's innate. And so there's already that trust there. You know, the parents who bring their kiddos to Preschool Promise, they know that their kids are getting quality opportunities, attention. It was just really amazing seeing the kind of work being done day in, day out, and how well-rounded all the kids that we work with already were just from the experience they had. And then just being able to add that additional layer of let's create something together. Let's use our imaginations. Let's use fantasy, and let's create something totally imagined and build something together. And because of Preschool Promise, you know, we were able to lift that much higher together.
And so Rachel, I haven't had the opportunity seeing your organization perform yet, but I've heard such wonderful, great things about you guys. So I really look forward to the partnership, working with the families and working with the providers through your program. But I gotta ask, just because when I hear you talk about everything that's going on, you're so expressive, and I can feel the passion coming from you. I have to ask you, tell me about your favorite experience that you've had with a child so far.
Oh, let's see. There's a lot, so that's tough.
Okay, just pick one. Just give me.
I know.
Just give us a mental vision of what a favorite experience would look like in this program, because we want our viewers to be able to visualize exactly what the children are getting and what the children are learning. Because, you know, we can talk about it all day, but it's about putting the mental picture to it.
Yes. So the first one that pops in my mind, we were working with the kiddos that you saw some photos of, and that was actually my first session that was doing Students Create Change, where we make a piece together. We go start to finish. And the students that we work with, they decided they wanted to adapt their favorite story, and their favorite story had a lot of animals. It had a lot of call and response. So they were like repeating each other. They kind of had to speak in rounds. So there was rhythm, and it was great. And one of the things that we didn't notice, but one of the students noticed, and it was so insightful. Everybody was doing a great job rehearsing, and they had their lines memorized, and they were learning their cues, and they were getting their positions together. And one little girl, 5 years old, dropped to all fours. And the teacher we were working together, she's like, oh, no, 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 go ahead and stand up. And she says, but I'm a cow. Why would I be on 2 legs? I'd be on 4. And it was like this aha moment where she just saw it. And then all the little kids who were cows dropped to all fours and they started their mooing, and they got bodily, they got in the part and they felt the part. And there was this moment where all the adults in the room looked at each other and we thought, oh my gosh, we were the ones who got it wrong. We're sitting here thinking, oh, you should be standing and projecting. And innately, this little girl was like, no, this is cow. This is what I'm doing. I'm imagining cow and this is cow. And it's like, that's right. This is theater. This is bodily. You need to move.
It's almost one of those things, like when a child colors a cow and they do it purple, and we're like, no, the cow's not supposed to be purple. It's supposed to be this and that. But we just have to let their imagination unfold. Yeah. So that's awesome.
And just give them that green light, that feeling of, you're not trying to do something for an adult's approval. I mean, that's, there's a time and place for that, but then there's also a place for your imagination's running wild. And even if she was like, my cow jumps up and down, that's maybe what her cow does, right?
Yeah. And so thank you so much for sharing that experience with us. Julie, you've been working with us for a little while. So can you kind of just tell us a little bit about what parents are saying about the program? What have you heard so far? What's been the response?
Oh my goodness. The response has been overwhelmingly positive. The providers and the teachers that we work with have been observing the children. In first, it's funny, when Elizabeth would go into the classrooms, like getting them to sing and participate, it was a little bit foreign. But as time went on, they learned to trust her, to follow her, and to enjoy and have fun. And so there's been a lot of positive praise from the teachers, and they look forward to Miss Elizabeth, they call her, every week when she comes in. And so that's incredibly rewarding to hear. For our concerts, parents, I mentioned, parents constantly coming up and observing like what their child is picking up. Like I said, they really are sponges at that age, and you just don't, even children who are like maybe not so focused on the music, maybe they're kind of wandering around during our concert. When a parent comes home, like there was one point where the woodwind players were buzzing through their mouthpieces, right, and makes this really funny noise. Well, this one child, this was a baby actually, and she again didn't think her infant or her toddler really was like, really paying attention to what was going on. But when she got home, she handed her child the bottle, and when the child took the bottle, they buzzed into the bottle, imitating what they had learned and heard at our concert. So that, we get all kinds of wonderful praise from parents. In fact, one of the big things right now is that we offer our concerts free. We believe in this program so much, our Peanut Butter Jam sessions, that our organization, Linton Chamber Music, has made the decision to bring this to as many family and children as possible. And so we've made a commitment to provide this programming free. So if you go on our website or visit, our Facebook page, you'll find out about all our concerts, and they are actually free to the public.
And Julie, that actually
so much
takes me right into my next question, because my next question was, what services do you offer to families? And not only do I want to know about the services such as the free concerts, I want to know, how do we get families involved with regards to participating? Because we know you go out to providers, but is there kind of like an outreach that we do to families? Because I know for me as a mother/grandmother, I would want to take these practices back home to,
Yeah.
you know, I want my families to take them back home and do things with children. So how do we do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have the Musical Journeys program, which I mentioned is the weekly instructions, but in our Peanut Butter and Jam Sessions concerts, which are concerts throughout the region, which again are free, and they're in churches, libraries, etc. But at these concerts, we also during the concert we give the parents tips as well and what they can do with their children at home. So for example, if you have a lot of the parents they bring a younger sibling like an infant, and we always tell the parents to like tap a steady beat on that infant, because steady beat is so crucial to again developing those verbal skills, and just really singing and moving and engaging with your child with music. It's just a little bit like reading. We encourage parents to read to their children, when we also encourage parents to just listen to music at home, all kinds of music, just turning the radio on and listening, and engaging in that way. It sounds so simple, but even at that age, like I said, that they're picking up on it. So but again, I hope that parents will take advantage of our programming, because there's a lot that you'll be able to learn and pick up just by
and so
coming to our concerts.
Let me ask before I switch over to Rachel, because I want to hear the services that her organization has to offer as well. So when we talk about the free concerts, are those concerts just associated with the particular provider or center or church?
Nope.
Are they open to
the public?
Okay.
Everybody is welcome. And again, we're in 27 different neighborhoods now. The program has grown so much now over the past, decade. And there's 60 performances. And the other thing we try to do when we go into a neighborhood, we try to go in not just once a year. Our goal is to be in that community 3 to 4 times a year, so that we are providing programming to parents that they can rely on, and they get to know us, and we develop a relationship with those families. Our hope is that they start bringing their children when they're like infants or 2-year-olds, and that they stay with us until we find that when they get to about 6-7 years old, they're kind of ready for the next thing. It really is a program that is geared towards early childhood learning. So
that's awesome. And Rachel, why don't you tell me just a little bit about the services that you all offer to families and how you get families involved?
Sure, I'd love to. So I think it's great what Julie's doing, and it's so huge to offer performances at little to no cost. Free is the best, right? Because then everybody has access to it. And we at ALT, American Legacy Theater, we do a similar thing. So all of our performances, we tout ourselves as having the lowest price ticket in the region. Many are no cost, little to no cost, and all tickets have opportunities to be subsidized. So if anyone is interested in coming to any American Legacy Theater performance, they will never be turned away due to lack of funding, due to lack of access to a ticket. They will be comped. And so we do 6 performances a year, and that's not including our in-classroom performances that are ongoing throughout the year. Most of those are open to the community. Some are just their community is their school that they're in. But often family, parents, and family are invited to those. Our next upcoming performance is happening in October and November, and we're currently booking for that. So if anyone wants to see it at their school, community center, or anywhere that has a little bit of room, we will perform, and it's called See Me, Hear Me. And it is an original piece around teen mental health. So it is promoting mental health in teenagers. It's open to anyone. So feel free to reach out and follow us on social media to find out what else we're doing. We also like to generate social media content that has creative ways to use theater to connect at home, so that families can bring theater into their own homes and do them as, you know, bonding with their kids. And we do that in
And
partnership.
Rachel, I gotta tell you, it's almost kind of like you're reading my mind, because that was gonna be my next question for you.
Nice.
That if you could ask parents to do one thing to support or help their children through this journey, what would it be?
You know, I'm gonna reference something that our art director and founder, Matthew David Gellin, recommends and often says, and have real engaging conversations with your kiddos every day. Ask them one thing that happened in their day, and then also tell them about one thing that happened in your day, and have a conversation where you're actively listening. You can name the favorite thing that happened in your day. You can talk about the least favorite thing if that's where they're at and they need space to talk about something difficult. But intentionally having that space to, you know, make eye contact, hear them when you're not just busily doing something else, even if it's just 5 minutes, it's huge, because we need that connection. Our kiddos need to know that they're being heard, and they also want to know what's happening with you, because it creates that empathy and understanding and starts helping them with their emotional IQ.
Yeah, I always like to ask my grandchildren, and people in general, you know, tell me about your feel good moment and stuff for the day. You know, what made you feel good about the day? You know, what was special to you? It made a difference in the way you're doing things. So, but I never really thought about being intentional about it. So it sounds like what you're saying is to have those conversations with our children and be intentional about our efforts.
Yeah, definitely be a little more present than maybe you would normally be, just even a tiny bit more, right? It goes a long way.
Yeah, it does. You know, makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
I will, you know, echo the family connection thing. I mean,
Yeah, please do.
one of
Jump
the
on
wonderful
in.
things,
It's a chat. Jump on in.
again, about, you know, the family concerts that we do is that they're just that. They're opportunities for families to connect. And we'll often see not just parents or caregivers, but grandparents, like, you know, 3 generations coming and, you know, enjoying and moving to the music along with their kids. We always at the end encourage their kids to dance with their parents at the end. There's always a dance jam session at the end. Yeah, and so that's one of the other thing I think, you know, especially coming out of this pandemic, right? We're still working with children who, you know, were isolated at home, and so having these social connections, they're so important, and that was, you know, one of the things that, you know, we're, you know, proud to be able to help with and provide the community.
And so, Julie, you know, we talked about a lot about what you guys have been teaching families and children, and that's awesome. But tell me about what you've learned working with children and families. And Rachel, you get ready, because I'm going to ask you the same thing, because, you know, I have this whole theory about when we are in people's lives, regardless of what role we play, we ought to be an addition versus a subtraction, because if we're subtraction, we're dividing them from something they should be doing. And so we want to talk about what is it that you're learning from families and children as you go out there and you work in the community, these 27 communities that you're working in. What are you learning?
The biggest thing is we've made a conscious decision to focus on early childhood music. I mean, you know, there's the symphony does these beautiful programs in music hall and such, but they're really like, they span from, like, you know, you see 3-year-olds to 12-year-olds and older, you know, at these concerts, and it's impossible to really engage, you know, all those different grade levels in one, you know, program. And so one of the things, you know, I'm so proud of is that we've chosen, you know, early childhood, because I mean, I like to say we were like one of the pioneers really when it comes to arts programming, because we've been doing this for close to 30 years. You know, we've developed it over, it's taken some honing but we know how to work with children at that age. And I think that has been sort of the most rewarding thing is like, engaging children at this age. And again, I think it's so important. And to reach children, to start, it's like a language, obviously, with music, right? And if you get them listening at an early age, they'll pick it up. They'll learn to appreciate it. They begin to appreciate it, early on. So to me, that's been for us the most rewarding. We did try to expand our program. We thought, oh, well, maybe we should do something for 6 to 12-year-old, and we realized, like, it was sort of spreading our resources thin. It was like, we realized it's going to take a whole separate program. We're like, let's stay focused on early childhood, because this is where we can, we're filling a niche in this community that's, that nobody else is doing.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, we went back to just focusing on early childhood.
Rachel, why don't you tell us about what it is? No, that's fine. I'm glad to be here for just to receive the enthusiastic attitude that you have in reference to early childhood. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. Rachel, I do want to hear about what your takeaway is about what you're learning from families and for kids throughout this journey that you have embarked on.
Yeah, so I'll admit I'm relatively new to American Legacy Theater. I'm in my 3rd month, and
oh wow,
yeah, so I'm fresh.
You're newbie.
a little bit. I'm a former Cincinnati Public School intervention specialist, so
okay.
I do know what you all are speaking of big time, especially when Julie's naming the importance of early childhood development. Big time important. And so one of the things that because I've got a little bit of a new lens that's really glowing to me in my time working on these programs, working with youth, especially the littles at Cincinnati Preschool Promise, that creativity knows no bounds, right? A thing that we've come up against, and I saw it when I was an educator full-time, there are these artificial limits that get put on our kids. They get these ideas that there are things that they can't do. And you'll ask them, what do you want to be? And they'll name something that is tangible because it's what they know around them. But sometimes giving a green light to anything, right? Having opportunities where it's just pure imagination, pure, there's no rules, there's no right or wrong answer. Just be creative. And I watch what that does to kids. I watch them, I like to call it they get a green light. They have the green light moment. Well, all of a sudden,
I like to say they're opening the door for the first time.
Yes,
it's kind of like, can I go in that room? And so when they start being creative and their little minds start working, it's kind of like, I'm opening up this door and I'm going in this room, and I don't know what this room entails, but I'm going to go in there and create something.
Yes, I'm going to go explore. And they give you a little check-in, like, is this cool? And you're like, yeah, that's cool. And it's like, oh, really? So sky's the limit here? It's like, yeah, sky's the limit here. Like, think it, dream it, we'll act it out. You'll sing about it. You'll dance about it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And those who are a little shy, okay, you'll draw about it. You'll make a set. You're going to be the costume designer. You're going to express that idea. And the stuff that kids come up with is so amazing. It's like, completely innovative and fresh, and they'll take something that is maybe a story that we've all heard and they saw, on a little cartoon, and then they just roll with it and snowball into something totally new, totally fresh, totally exciting. And it's just so invigorating to me to witness that.
And so, Rachel, as we get ready to close out, tell me, if you had one soundbite that you could give a parent, and Julie, I'm coming over there to ask you the same thing. If you had one soundbite that you could give a parent so they could remember your organization, what would that be?
I'm gonna lean on a real short little phrase that we use a lot.
Give it to me.
ALT, and that's easier than American Legacy Theater. So just think ALT creates a more equitable tomorrow through accessible theater.
Okay. And then tell me, before I switch over to Julie, if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, because we know all our people are watching and they're going to go back and they're going to watch this again. Tell us, how would they get in contact with your organization?
Yeah, so you can find us. You can find our website at AmericanLegacyTheater.org. You can find us on social media. If you type in American Legacy Theater, that'll do it. But our handle is like the abbreviated. So just start typing in AMRCN and you'll find us. We'll start popping up. So
And say that again.
So you'll do at and then AMRCN and then start typing an L and we'll pop up.
All right. All
Yeah,
right.
it's American Legacy Theater, just no vowels. Take out the vowels and there we are.
And so, Julie, give me one soundbite if you could give to parents, just so they can remember. And I know it's probably a lot there, but when you think about all that you've learned so far,
Let's
that was
play.
kind of like your
That's it.
10-minute
Let's
elevator pitch,
play.
1-minute
And
elevator pitch.
that is it. Let's play. Let's
Let's
play
play.
music. Let's play. Let's learn through playing.
Let's play. All right. See, I was all caught up in the peanut butter and jam thing. I got to be honest with you. I love,
Well, then you said-
I
then
love
that's-
your name because I'm
that's-
like,
That is it. I mean, that's what we are all about. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what our concerts are about. I mean, it's learning through play. It's learning through music and through the power of music, but let's have fun with it.
okay, let's have fun with it.
Yeah.
And so tell us, how do we get in contact with you?
Okay. Let's see. It's peanutbutterandjam.org. That's it.
Peanutbutterandjam.org.
.org. Yeah. Peanutbutterandjam.org. Yeah. And on Facebook, it's Linton Music Peanut Butter and Jam. PB&J sessions. Sorry. Linton Music PB&J sessions.
All right.
All
And,
right.
and
Sorry.
since we were talking about feel-good moments, so I gotta share. My feel-good moment was being here with you guys and just experiencing your passion for working in the arts and working with our youngest educators. So, and being here, of course, for CPP week, it's Preschool Promise Week. What other better week to do this in? And so, Julie, I want to know your feel-good moment.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I want to share a moment where that was again from one of our concerts and was at an outdoor concerts that we did at the College Hill Library. And Miss Elizabeth and musicians, they were playing this piece of music from the Renaissance, if you will. And she had them lie down on the grass and she talked about Michelangelo in painting the Sistine Chapel. Not that they had ever heard of the Sistine Chapel, but she encouraged them to just lay down on the grass. And they were looking up at the sky and they were listening to this music and they were painting the sky with their imagination. And that was my,
Awesome.
one of my like most favorite moments. And it always makes me feel
awesome
good.
to even imagine that. And Miss Michelle, give me your feel-good moment.
Well, you know, I like yours because this has definitely been a real highlight of my day is hearing about the programs that you all have going on. I also, admittedly, I was putting together these slides and I was combing through all these amazing quotes from parents and partners and teachers that we worked with. And it just warmed my heart to hear, you know, from even before when I wasn't with ALT, how good the experiences were for all of them and that it was fulfilling. And, you know, there's one quote that I like love so much from a parent. And it goes, he's like, when Hannah came home the other day, I asked if she had a good time and she just said, "Dad, this was the best night of my life." And that was after her performance. And it was
I
her
love
first
it.
That's
slide.
awesome. That's awesome.
love
Yeah,
it.
because it takes a lot sometimes to get a kid to have the best time in their life. So yeah, we really we appreciate you guys sharing that with us. And thank you for being here today. You were our kickoff as we celebrate Preschool Promise Week. Thank you for sharing your organizations with us and the information. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Flo.
Thank you.
It was my pleasure. And so everyone, this has been Cincinnati Preschool Promise Preschool Chat. And I'm so excited that we're back. Everybody, please join us next month, Monday, 10/23. Meet our partners at Learning Through Art. That was our very first pitch night winner. Also, we're going to be doing Kami the Caterpillar, which is I'm so excited. Kami the Caterpillar is like this new thing. It's a caterpillar, and it's a weighted blanket, and it's colorful and everything. I almost feel like running to get mine, but I won't do that because I want you guys to be surprised. And so I'll see you guys next time. Everybody enjoy your evening, and thank you for joining us here at Preschool Chat. Have a good night.
Okay.